Here we have part two of Change as a Constant, guys. Hope you enjoy the second part of this series. Let's get into it, guys. Appreciate you for watching. What it do, guys? It's your boy O2, and you know I'm back at it doing another podcast, doing the most. Also, appreciate you guys for joining. We're back on Change. We could not just end it on a part one, and yes, I am holding the mic instead of it being on my shirt. It's a little louder, and you can hear me a little clearer that way. But we're still on the past, or not the past. We'll get to the past, but we're on Change. And then, sorry, I'm scatterbrained right now. I've written down a little bit of stuff that came to mind. May touch on it, may not. But appreciate you guys for being here. Change is inevitable. It is occurring all around us at all times. It has been since the beginning of our existence, the human experience, and before that, things were changing. They had to have been because they currently are. That's why I believe it is a constant and not something. And it's crazy. It's almost a paradox, right? To think that something that changes, like the fact that constant is a change, or a change is a constant. I'm saying things backwards today. The fact that change is a constant, it almost promotes a paradox, because a constant is something that has to be and stay in a particular spot, or a certain condition, for it to be a constant. Yet change, even though change is the result of things, we had the definition, I threw it away. Change is things, just different things happening, moving on. So like I was talking adapting, evolving. Yeah, a lot of people don't want to say the dirty word of evolution or evolving, but things are constantly evolving. Things are constantly growing. Things are constantly dying. Things are constantly living because of dying. That has to be, and it goes back to the duality of nature that I think I missed in the last podcast episode. But we're going to share some anecdotal, and when I say anecdotal, I mean personal experiences and not empirical data, than research and history that I tried to put out in the first episode of this little mini series we're doing in the podcast. We will not stay on Change. I promise there won't be a part 5 and 6 and 7, but we do appreciate you for watching. If you do enjoy the episode, drop a like, leave a comment if you feel so inclined. We don't get a whole lot of comments, more on my shorts and episodes on Fortnite than I do on my podcast, but I'm appreciative of anybody that chimes in. So change. I've seen it in my own life, guys, big time. One, you can just look in the mirror. You can look back at pictures like I had mentioned in the first podcast and just see physical change, but also changes throughout, just life, and time being the measure of change. I came from a religious family. I'll say that. I grew up in a religious family. We went to church. But there was that change. I remember the transition of change from being that child that played in the floor and stuff, the video games, to eventually having to grow up and start helping around the house, to doing chores and stuff, and going to school. Was a change for me that I had to adapt to. Change with developing social skills. I was not very good at speaking. I couldn't say th. I couldn't pronounce th very well. I think some r's were hard to say. I had to go to speech class to change that, guys. So I go through that. I had to face fear. Fear is innate. I think everybody's born with a certain level of fear, different levels of fear, and I had to face that. I had to face that. I actually ran from it for many years after I had found alcohol and other drugs. But I will say that there was just constant change going throughout with my life. And I got older. I got bullied in school. Okay. Oh well, I guess it's part of growing up. But I value the past. I do value the past. I can't access it anymore, other besides memory, maybe, but I can learn from it. There's lessons to be learned from the past. So I move move on through school. I started to become a little rebellious before I even started drinking towards my parents and towards teachers and other students in school, and which led me to getting a job my senior year at a factory, working for under my dad, honestly, at a factory. And there, I discovered drugs, alcohol, drugs, and all the other fun stuff. I wanted to be accepted, and that was something that changed. At one point, I just needed acceptance from my mother and my father, and as I got older, because of how the societies we've created and formed, I felt like I needed acceptance from my peers, my fellow coworkers, people my age, even the elders. I wanted to be accepted, even though years and years after I started drinking and doing other, drugs that I will not mention, I found out that that same acceptance that I wanted actually changed and morphed into isolation. So I went from wanting to be accepted to actually wanting to be left alone and hidden in the shadows. Isolation just breeds desolation in the end, destruction. But I couldn't see that for the alcohol, for the drugs, man. And it does rewire the brain, literally. I'm a big fan of the Huberman podcast and neuroscience. I'm huge into neuroscience. Even though you all see me busy on Fortnite, I am a huge brain geek when it comes to molecular chemistry and biology within the brain. Um, but through the things I've been through, even my religious, since I can't give you an exact date, but maybe around 2015, 2016, I had started doubting the Christian religion. Maybe before that, even I think I started questioning things, and I was super. I've always been inquisitive. I'll say that much. I've always been inquisitive. I promise this episode I'm gonna give my wife time to talk, guys. It seems like I'm just the hog of the show, but I'm not. I'm trying not to be. But where was I at? Help me a little bit.
Just doubts within religion.
Okay, yes. I'd gotten, it had been throughout my life. I had doubted. I even got into Buddhism. I had looked in more specifically, Taoism, or for the Western world, Taoism, but the Tao and duality of nature, hence why I've got the yin yang on my neck tattooed. I was a big believer in that because it really is more of a philosophy than a religion. And I was like, man, just the duality of nature, focus on detaching, losing attachment to this reality, this life, because really it's not going to last forever because of change, guys. We're back on that. Well, you'll hear me come back to change in every instance within the podcast. But in my religious, here's the thing: religion and following Christ are two different things. Two different things. Newsflash. I know he's dropped these on Sundays. I believe you don't have to step foot in a church and you can know Christ, and vice versa, and then all the way around, meaning you can go to church and know Christ. And I'm not going to get into that, but through my doubts, man, I've been shown grace throughout my life and did not see it. I felt like I was not that I was owed something, but that because of all the things I had been through, the trials, the troubles, all these sufferings that I could list. I could make a long list, guys, too, that would probably reach China if I started writing now. To my death, the list would reach to China. But I had my eyes opened a little bit more that I was being shown grace, and it was just like almost turning on a TV. It was that simple, but it took a while. It took a while, and do I still have some doubts? I think everybody has some doubts. If you really access the subconscious, that part of your brain you can't get to unless you're in deep meditation, deep prayer, which is a type of meditation, by the way, that we can't access unless we calm the body and the mind down simultaneously. And I realized I had been shown grace throughout my whole life looking at it. I was like, man, there are other people that didn't make it. There are other people that, and if I died today, it would still be okay because that is a result of change. Um, Change is always occurring. Um, but there were so many lessons to be learned, man, that because I had become this rebellious person and been down into the pit, so to speak, um, and I'd seen the hardship of others, the working class and the homeless and the addicts and just the rejects of society. I gained empathy. Something changed within me. I was a very conceited person, very conceited. I mean, my wife met me before all that. Well, she might have said, well, at one point, yeah, you were little. But no, I used to think I was the bomb.com guys. And alcohol and drugs, I give credit to God, but I do give a little bit of credit to the drugs and alcohol because it sent me down to the pit to see the worst of mankind and the very best, looking at the best in the worst situations when I would be around criminals, when I would be around the homeless, when I'd be around actually good people that just didn't have money, that were dealt a bad hand. Some people by their own hand, in some circumstances, it was just seemed like bad luck. And that I gained empathy from that, from being super conceited and selfish. I changed over and become very empathetic. My heart goes out to people now. I do try to help people whenever I can. I really do, and I'm not perfect. That's the one thing I do want to say. I'm not perfect, guys. I am far from it, but I do strive to try to get it just even 0.001% better if we were to measure it. Every day is a win in my book. Um, I had to face a lot of fears, guys, and I'm still facing them because I do suffer from some mental disorders such as generalized anxiety disorder and bipolar one with bipolar one with disorder with mixed episodes. I know it's very specific, but we have to be specific about things. Knowledge is still power, guys. That has not changed for me, at least. But and some depression, which is that anxiety depression thing is just the result of the bipolar disorder. But I'm trying to change that around and acknowledge when I find triggers and identify them and see what I can do about them. I'm still not perfect about it. Get a drink of tea, but I'm constantly being a student. I'm constantly observing the change that's happening, even in the world. Although we live on a personal level, so the world's going to do what the world's going to do, regardless. I have to focus on myself. I can't change the whole world. I don't think I can. Maybe I can one day, but if I can start, and here's the thing. When let me back up. I'm going to change that, guys. I can, and it starts on a personal, local level because we think of the world too big. The world is a tiny pale blue dot. Voyager 1 showed us that picture. Remember, if you haven't looked it up, Google the pale blue dot. We are just a blue speck within our own solar system. Yet we think that by going out and doing good to somebody in our own town or our own city or our own region within wherever we live, it isn't enough. But that is touching the world. It's a section of the world, a portion, and we're allotted a portion of the world. Some people are allotted bigger portions of the world. Some people are allotted smaller. But there might be a reason and a causation behind that we don't yet understand. And I'm still trying to figure it out as I dive deeper. But I've had paradigm shift after paradigm shift, and I will say that I am grateful to have this experience that I'm currently having, even though there are still some hardships, man, that I don't want to discuss yet. But I will say that resisting change, and I had written this down, so I'm going to be reading just a second. This is from my words. This is not a Google AI or anything. This was something I literally wrote down. And it's still on, we're piggybacking off of part one of change is a constant and talking about change. Resisting change will only prolong agony. And I gave some actual real life examples. We'll get into the physical and even spiritual. It raises cortisol. So, like, when you resist something, usually stress is the result of it. When you resist something, especially if it's good and you're resisting, or if it's bad, if you're resisting, there's going to be a tension, there's going to be a stress somewhere inside. And when stress is in the body, cortisol, the brain causes cortisol and adrenaline, among other things. But we'll get into that. May be a whole other podcast or a whole like within my mental health playlist. But it raises cortisol. What is cortisol? It is a stress hormone that activates the amygdala, which activates the fight or flight and freeze response within our bodies. And adrenaline, guys, good old adrenaline, noradrenaline, epinephrine. They're all a little bit different, but pretty much the same. They do the same thing, man. They increase heart rate, blood pressure. They constrict our blood vessels to make blood go directly to vital organs so that you can get it away from danger or fight if need be. Increases fat accumulations. Cortisol alone in the blood too long can cause lipids to not break down as easily. That's why I'm saying it also affects the metabolic and brain structure of us. Stress does. Stress changes. MRI scans that actually have shown changes in brain structure. Go look it up for yourself, guys. Don't believe me. I'm just a sounding board from my own mind and past research. It suppresses immune system function, which can lead to cancer, autoimmune diseases, and ultimately pass down to next generations, guys. So we wonder why there's a change in the demographic of crazy people out there that I would call crazy. Let's look back from the 70s to now. We got it's like the crazies. The percentage of crazy people that don't like common sense or don't correlate with it or don't understand it, why there's a bigger number of it is because we are a stressed out generation and we're passing it on, and it's starting to show in reality from genetics. We could get more into that in another episode. But and that's going to lead to trauma. And trauma, what it is, trauma keeps leaping into next generations. And what we're seeing is a big change, a violent change, which I hope doesn't stick around. But biblically, it seems like it has to happen for Christ to come back, guys. And that's probably the first time I have mentioned him in a positive connotation on my channel. But I have had a change of heart despite doubts. I still have questions that need to be answered that are unanswered. I am still a philosopher of deep philosopher of thought and ideologies behind existence and reality. But I think in my own human experience, there has to be an uncaused cause, or we're just pulling at straws, so to speak. And I'm not even meaning that to try to rhyme or be funny. You can't say, well, this came from this, and 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 so on and forth into infinity. There has to be an uncaused cause, guys. And I just think that we learn as we go, as things change. We learn, we adapt, we grow, or we suffer and go into madness and chaos. It's one of the two. It really is. I know Star Wars is kind of a funny way to look at it, but light versus darkness, man, and that's what we're currently seeing in the world, and that's just the reality. Recently, the Winter Olympics, I had seen there was some demonic things that were pridefully shown, and whether you like this podcast or not, or me, I wish I would like more subscribers, but I'm just going to speak some truth. Evil is not scared to show itself now. It used to be behind closed doors, and now it's not, and that's very scary. That's a change. That's a change, guys. So change, it's just it's gonna constantly continue until the end, and we can get into that into another episode. But I'm gonna give my wife the floor this time to talk about her personal experience with change in her life. Go ahead.
I was kind of like a just jump off the deep end introduction there, but
Yeah.
I mean, change is it's kind of inevitable. Like even when you push it away, like changes are going to happen, and it's up to you ultimately whether you embrace that change or whether you're like, I'm not dealing with this change, and ultimately that ends up hardening your heart, like hindering your growth as a person and all that. So really, I guess I don't think that I'll go too personal or anything to keep my emotions in check, but just you gotta embrace it and kind of roll with the punches and always view change as what am I learning and how am I growing from it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you don't want to like tell like a miniature life story like I did?
I don't think so.
Really? Okay. I mean, if she doesn't feel like it, she doesn't feel like it, guys. Um, I'll say since I've known her, we have had some change within my family, her family, both our own family we created when we married. There's been a lot of changes go on. We have felt deep loss. We've had great enjoyment and happiness and joy, joy and stuff. But we've also suffered from loss, and that loss isn't permanent. Though we have to remind ourselves that the loss is not permanent. Um, I think that's maybe why you're not wanting to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak.
I just don't want to sound emotional on a podcast.
Well, it's okay. I
Yeah.
mean, vulnerability. People love that. People love vulnerability. People love honesty. Well, not everybody, guys. There is a dark group of people out there, and I don't know what it is. If it's a mind virus, or I may have mentioned that last episode, last podcast last week. But there is a darkness out there that wants to destroy people, that wants to silence voices out there, that wants evil to prevail, and I don't know why. Other than just it being the enemy, which is Satan, trying to destroy people, and a lot of people, the people that call it a fairy tale, are just looking through the naked eye, the natural eye. When you look through the naked eye, you only see so much. Even science will admit that we can't even see. We only see the visible light spectrum from our own eye. We can't see microwaves, radio waves, gamma waves, all these other waves, infrared and stuff, which is just past red. It's heat signatures. We can't see none of that, guys. So who is to say there is no spiritual realm? Who is to say? How prove it? That's why even science has said it can neither prove nor disprove. So it's still open for discussion. Yet there are truth claims from books. There are truth claims, guys. So we do have to take that into account. And science can't uh, confirm or deny. So there's something there. But change is inevitable, like I said in the beginning of this podcast. And you either embrace it and grow from it. Because when you embrace it, you become, I think, stronger. You become stronger. You become more resilient. All these positive qualities like empathy, love, compassion, joy, being able being generosity. Being able to give freely without expecting repayment, whether it be financially, whether it be with your time, whether it be just being a listening ear. But we are constantly in a ever-changing world, ever-changing existence, with just a few constants holding this thing together that we call life, reality, existence. There's a few constants, but eventually that will go away and change. Eventually it will, I believe. We'll all be able to see it pretty clearly soon enough. Whether you believe it or not. I wish you had more to say because that was pretty much my spiel. I was hoping you was going to go about 5-10 minutes, but nonetheless, I tried to give her the floor, guys. I tried to give her the floor. Tried to give her the floor, and still me talking, guys. I know when I done that one podcast when I was by myself, I had the least views, so I was like, definitely need my wife on the podcast. Maybe they want to hear you talk, and it's all good. But we do appreciate you watching this. This is actually a shorter podcast. Maybe I can look more into, because I didn't write too much, guys. I just really wanted to. I felt like the first episode we just didn't go enough personal. I was shooting a lot of deep messages and deep things, and that philosopher, and trying to prove why change is a constant, and fail. I think I failed, just not failed, but left out the fact of how I've seen change in my own life, and how just personal experience. I left the personal experience out of it, and I shouldn't have. But when you're creating these kind of videos and getting preparing for them, the opportunity to miss something increases if you rush, or even if you do your best. I mean, we're humans, we're fallible, we are prone to failure, and that's just how we are. And the only way to change that, keyword change, is to observe, study, acknowledge, and change course of direction and methods of how you go about things. So I guess if you don't have anything more to say than what you said, I guess we'll end it on that.
I mean, I guess I can speak a little bit to the fact of like just how roles in life change. But again, like change can be good. It can be hard. It can be something you got to work through to like get to that level of acceptance and like finding the happiness and the joy within the change. But like, I started as just a daughter, and you grow up, you graduate from high school, you go to college, you have that like your social life becomes more of your identity. You're still that daughter, you still go home, like, but you're really kind of coming into your own, and then you you start your career, and that becomes a part of your identity, and then adding on a family, so becoming that wife and all of that. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I just really want to, I guess, keep hitting on that change is hard, but it's good.
I was about to say, yeah. 10 years ago, or a little, barely 10 years ago, I was not an uncle. Now I'm an uncle to many. I was a son. I became a husband. Uh, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. We just in like our roles in within the family system change over time. When we were the young, we become the old. We'll become the grandparents, the grand aunts, the grand uncles, the grands versus children. We see that process of life as if we don't die in our 20s or 30s, we see that process of life change over. We become what we saw our parents and our grandparents become. We all have to go through that, and that's why I want to stress again, if you resist that, there's agony. There's agony, there's depression, there's isolation, there's which leads to desolation, which leads to utter chaos. But if you can accept it, you can grow past it and become strong, very resilient, thick-skinned, to the point where things won't bother you, like a Buddhist monk or the Tibetan monks out in Nepal that can literally be in the Himalayas, in half naked, and literally will not freeze to death because their bodies have adapted to the change. Look that up. Look that up about those guys in the Himalayas. There's some monks or something that literally are not fully clothed out in like subarctic temps, and they are surviving. And not only surviving, they're thriving, guys. They're thriving. Why? Because they've accepted first that the change is real, and then they adapt. And now look at how resilient they are. And there's been people that sit places for days on end with no food or water. And I'm not going to go off naming all of these gurus and um, special people that do this, because these people are they're ahead of us, especially, I would say, spiritually, because they're able to do these things in the natural world. But they've gotten past the point of acceptance. They're actually now in action of it, because they've gotten, as Sadhguru says in the book I'm reading, Death, they've gotten to the other side of the mirror. Now, when you look at a mirror, you're like, how do I get to the other side of the mirror? And it's a really kind of mind-bending metaphor, but essentially it is what I'm talking about right now. It is accepting that change, and it is getting past it and growing past it and receiving basically some kind of hidden knowledge. Honestly, it comes to you, just drops out of the air into your head. But it does require work. It's not something that you just get a revelation out of nowhere. It requires work on one's end. You can't just like you can't expect to get rich by sitting on the couch. You can't expect to get rich sitting on the couch unless you're investing, I don't know, your funds into bank accounts and stocks and stuff, and then turn it for a profit or buy houses or something. But still, you're doing something. But nonetheless, I just felt the need to finish part one with a part two because there was no personal experience, and I think we did a decent job at going a little deeper with sharing the personal experience of change. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to hear from you guys. How has change affected your life? Do you have any personal examples? Leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear back from you. If you enjoyed this episode, please drop a like, subscribe to my boy, your boy, my boy,
My boy.
my boy, me. Subscribe to O2 Does the Most. Man, I'm on a road to 1,000 subscribers, and you can help just by really hitting that subscribe button. It's as simple as a touch on your phone or your tablet. Even the TV will allow you, even though in the description, you won't be able to see a description on a TV. So I suggest that you watch my channel on a phone or a tablet or a computer, because then you can see the description where you can find my thriller books, guys. I have 5 out for sale. You can purchase them through the link, or in my YouTube bio. The links are a little better there, but because some of the links that are in the description below will send you to the same book. I think there's 2. They'll send you to the same book, but you can click on the top. It'll say book 2 or 3, and then you click on that, and it'll send you. You'll already be in Amazon, but it'll open up the other books, like what 2 or 3. Well, here's 1, 2, and 3. You can do that. That's a way you can support me monetarily before I get monetized on YouTube. But if I get that 1,000 subscribers, guys, I'm going to apply to become a Fortnite affiliate, which is basically my meat and potatoes of my YouTube channel. That's what most of my content is. But we do love doing this podcasting. I do, at least. I hope you. My wife at least helps. I mean, I appreciate her support. Be sure to subscribe. Share this with a friend, man. Share some of my stuff. Share. A lot of people watch my shorts, and a few people watch my longer videos. Be sure to share with other folks, man. Try to grow my channel, help grow my channel, because I'm going to give back to you guys. I've done said it in my Fortnite episodes. Every 100 subscribers, we're doing a Fortnite card giveaway. We'll do some more giveaways. I'll do some signed something. I'll do something special. I'm thinking of some ideas of giveaways other than Fortnite to get the people that watch me for other reasons than my Fortnite episodes a reason to share my channel and grow my subscriber count. We'll go 4K sometime this year, but I don't know when. I imagine somewhere probably late summer, but we will go 4K this year. That is a promise that I'm going to hold to and keep to. Thank you so much for watching. You already know O2 Does the Most. I always about to get hyped, man. I want to hop on Fortnite and just go pow pow. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. See you guys in the next episode, man. Please leave a comment. Please, if you do nothing else, but leave a comment. If you have a personal experience or you want to expound on your own version and view on change, please do so. We will see you guys in the next episode.